When do you decide to tell the truth? When you're in this court and no place else? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
No.
I mean, just because you're in this court doesn't mean you have to tell the truth. I mean, that's what you're telling us, right?
That's not what I'm telling anyone.
What factors influence your having a memory problem?
Usually when men like you are screaming at me or grilling me, or someone like Travis doing the same.
So that affects your memory problems, right?
It does. It makes my brain scramble.
So how about that? And the big question here, we watch it and we can analyze, and certainly that's a great debate. Many of you, our viewers, you guys have weighed in on our Facebook page, HLNTV.com. The question, what's the jury taking in through all this? Let's go to our expert, attorney Jeff Gold. Jeff and I, either we're talking about it on air or he and I even can find ourselves texting back and forth. This is going on. So what do you think? As we saw that huge exchange there, where she says, men like you and Travis, basically, if you guys yell at me, I'm losing my memory, my brain scrambles. What'd you think of that?
Well, the first thing I thought in the afternoon is maybe during lunch she watched you and me, because we talked about Juan coming out strong and her being, beaten up in the morning, and in the afternoon it was totally reversed. She took control, and I'm going to tell you something. A statement like that was way over the top. She went too far. She hurt herself. Although you might think that there was a lot of talk afterwards about Juan, it's all about her. If she did that to Juan, and he was cowering after that and quiet after that, what do you think she did to Travis? This is not an abused woman. This is one who takes control. Her true nature is coming out now.
We had we'll just say a few of our Facebook viewers said that very same thing, saying, wait a minute, you're going to shake like a chihuahua over text with Travis, but you're holding your own and then some against Juan Martinez, right? So you're saying it hurts her. This strong style.
Absolutely. It shows who she really is. Cross-examination is a bit of a crucible. It's a test. It's not just direct examination where you get to tell your story. You get to text. And so Juan, in the beginning, took control. I thought that was fine. I understand you shouldn't do too much of it, but he took control. But then I think he watched all the commentators and she watched all the commentators, or at least her lawyers did, and there was a role reversal in the afternoon. It became a cat and mouse game. And in that cat and mouse game, she wasn't going to have any of his manipulation, and instead she was going to tell him, I'm in control of this courtroom. Well, guess what? If she's in control of Juan, what the heck do you think she did to Travis?
Interesting, because some, and I'll say this as well, some folks on Facebook or a Facebook page saying, one flat out said, she's a murderer, but she's more likable because he's barking at least through the morning hours. So that debate's going to rage. Jeff's going to be coming back with us. We're going to talk about all the big topics here, some of the zingers, and how about some of the secret messages? Secret messages. That's what Juan Martinez threw out there. The Jodi Arias maybe is trying to tamper with a witness. That's what he wants the jury to believe. We'll talk about that coming up in a little bit. Well, she's awfully pleasant there as Jeff Gold rejoins us. Is this being thrown in her face? And let's show the video here to everybody. Jeff Gold back with us, our attorney. I mean, Jeff, this is written in like on the side of the pages in pencil. This message she's trying to get to her friend Ann Campbell. There it is. How big of a bombshell was that?
I think to the jury, a very big bombshell. I mean, let's take this in context. A few days ago, I think we were all being sucked in by her and her direct testimony. And then she said nothing about the killing, and we were extremely disturbed. And now, you have that quote that, she punched Juan Martinez back and said, I don't have any memory when somebody yells at me like you or Travis. And now you find out she's so manipulative and controlling that she's trying to tamper with a witness. She's actually secretly coding out messages so she can get it out to a witness who might change their testimony or their story. Very dramatic. Very dramatic.
Did Juan Martinez bring it home, though? Because right after this, he veers back to the old boyfriend, Matt McCurney, and how Matt cheated on Jody with Bianca, and we get mired in all of that. I don't know if he brought this secret message, potential witness tampering point home enough. What are your thoughts? Help me out here.
Okay, 2 points. Viewers have to understand that in cross-examination, what the prosecutor is doing is getting pieces of facts that he can then argue later at a closing. Put the facts together and argue. Number one, you generally don't do it in a linear manner. You just don't go straight ahead. You pick and pull and go back and forth with a witness so that the witness can get confused, and maybe if they're not telling the truth, you'll catch them. And then the other thing to remember is that last piece. That part about Matt McCarty and going out there, think about that piece. That is a very dramatic piece in and of itself. She drives an hour and a half because she's jealous and because she's not in control of what's happening. She thinks this Bianca is fooling around with Matt, and maybe she is. Well, guess what that sounds like? That sounds like driving 10 hours in the desert to go out because you can't control Travis. That piece is going to be what's called a prior bad act, something to show what she did in the past so that you can infer her present intent, that she did this on purpose to Travis.
No, and that's good. That's why we lean on your expertise here, because I'm thinking, as I'm watching this, why don't you pound that point about the secret messages and end the day there? But you're saying what he did was equally effective to hit both points to close the day.
I thought that point that he was making at the end about driving an hour and a half in a jealous rage to go confront somebody was the most powerful thing of all, because it shows a little, it's like the Hobbit to the Lord of the Rings. It's a little taste of what the big thing is. She did this before. And then, of course, she did it in a much more dramatic fashion by driving 10 hours and killing somebody. But still, a rage is a rage.
There you go. And a Lord of the Rings reference to boot. Jeff's coming back with more of that. I can promise you that. We talk more Jodi Arias. She's back on the stand, by the way, on Monday. You're not going to miss a moment here. All right, some other news for you. And she answers that proudly. How important is it, Jeff, for Juan Martinez to make her seem like, hey, you're enjoying this as much as him?
I think it's very important, and I think that was an important point where she says in her journal after that, I love him, I really do. It's saying that she enjoys it. It's saying that sex equal love to her. It's this whole thing that's going to come crashing later when she can't control him, when he's going off on a cruise without her. That's going to be too much for her. She's going to drive 10 hours in the desert and kill him. And I wanted to, if I could, just note, you played the clip again of that challenge that she made. She said, can't remember when people like you or Travis yell at me. I was in the courtroom for that. There was a noticeable groan in the gallery. Everybody who sat there realized that was an extremely unusual interchange for the witness to start challenging the lawyer, especially a regular lay witness, not a professional like an expert or a policeman. That's very unusual.
Right.
And it was palpable in the courtroom.
And she
not just, you could...
Yeah, and she did it early on, too. Let's listen to it. And at the end of it, she throws a little zinger out there that she kind of enjoyed the sex every now and then. So let's listen to that, and we'll get your take on it. It feeds all into this theme here. Here we go.
Do you have problems with your memory, man?
Sometimes.
So you can tell us, for example, what kind of coffee you bought at Starbucks back on June 3rd of 2008, but you can't tell us what you said yesterday or the day before?
I always got the same drink at Starbucks.
And you can tell us, for example, what type of sex you had with Mr. Alexander many years ago, but you're having trouble telling us what you said a couple of days ago?
When I'm under stress, yeah, it affects my memory.
I thought you said the relationship with Mr. Alexander was very stressful.
Some of the sex wasn't.
Pardon?
Some of the sex wasn't.
So you did enjoy the sex then, is that what you're telling me?
At times I did.
Jeff, that's got to hurt her. I'm guessing her attorneys are cringing there, because for how many days was she the victim who was embarrassed and meek and mousy and was just trying to please Travis? Now she says herself she enjoyed it.
Well, that's right, and that was a difference between the morning and the afternoon yesterday. In the morning, she was the victim where Juan was beating her up, but by the afternoon, that had all changed. And she was sparring with him, saying, I enjoyed the sex. Well, put all that together. She's sparring with Juan. She's kind of whipping, Juan. If she's whipping Juan, what does she do to Travis? She liked the sex. She enjoyed the sex. Look, if he just would have been her boyfriend, she'd be perfectly happy and he'd be alive today.